So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 6 after 7 years. In this video, we're going to talk about how this thing's aged. It came out September 9th, 2014. It is now 2021. We're going on September. And I actually did some photos, did some videos, and we're just going to talk about how this phone has aged. This was a super cycle for the iPhone, meaning that they sold an incredible amount of these devices. And yes, they did come out with the iPhone SE 2020 that still resembles this body quite a bit, although it does have a glass back on it. But for the iPhone 6, how has it aged in terms of that body? I actually think to this day, this phone actually still looks pretty sleek. Yeah, we do have thick bezels here on the bottom and thick bezels on the top, but you could see this is back when Apple did like the headphone jack or liked putting it on their phones, and they always look sleek there as well, but no more headphone jacks these days. I would say overall, this phone just feels incredibly light. It doesn't feel nowhere near as durable though. Like the newer iPhone 12 just feels so much more durable. So 7 years later, I gotta say the iPhone 6 definitely feels like it could probably break pretty easily if you dropped it badly or anything like that, or you sat on it. You might be even able to bend this thing. It definitely doesn't feel that sturdy anymore. Now, when it comes to the actual, durability of the glass, you do have Gorilla Glass on the front, although this is a much older form of it, so it would crack easier, would scratch easier than the new ceramic shields. Now, the aluminum on the back, it's a nice aluminum unibody here, but you can see right here that we do have these antenna lines on the bottom and on the top, and I never thought that this was the best looking overall design for an Apple product. I like when they took away these antenna lines. It did clean it up just a bit, but overall I gotta say this phone, for how old it is, 7 years, it definitely, it looks old, but it still looks nice. I'm not even gonna kid with you. This thing feels and still looks nice, even though you can pick one of these up for probably around $50 to $100. And at 129 grams, it's incredibly lightweight. I mean, this thing is like twice as light as like an iPhone 12 Pro Max. That phone is over 200 grams. This one is 129 grams. This feels like a phone, whereas that feels like a phablet, foam tablet in your pocket. So definitely very strong in that aspect. Talking about the display here, we are looking at a 4.7-inch IPS LCD panel on this phone, and that's not too bad because it's still a Retina display. Apple actually still uses a form of this display on the iPhone SE 2020, and that's really a good thing because this phone never really had a horrible display. At 326 pixels per inch across a smaller body like this phone right here, it definitely did showcase that it was a pretty good overall display, but you had to go to the 6 Plus to get the sharper, higher resolution display, but that also meant you had to pay more money at the time. So right now I would say this actually held up well. The display, there's nothing really wrong with it. There's still phones to this day that you can buy with the same type of display. That's the SE 2020. So it really has held up pretty well. And even though it's not a 120 hertz, there's still not even a 120 hertz on the most current iPhone and the iPhone 12. So when just scrolling through the home screens, it literally feels just about as smooth as an iPhone 12, even on the main home screens, but not when you start opening apps. That's when the A14 will start blowing the doors off of the iPhone 6. Now the platform, this thing did actually get an update back in January or so to 12.5.4, but it's extremely out of date by now with an Apple A8 CPU, 1 gigabyte of RAM. That just sounds laughable right now, but this phone, super out of date right here with the 12.5.4. At least that was a security patch. But I still wouldn't feel too insecure using this device right now, because if people are going to hack a phone, why would they hack this one when most people have already upgraded? It just doesn't make any sense. Just use apps from the App Store. If you're still using this, you should be okay. Just don't go jailbreaking and doing all that stuff. Then you might run into trouble, as this is severely out of date here. And talking about that performance, this is where the iPhone 6 really shows its weak point. Now, when opening basic system apps, it's fine. But when you start opening up actual applications from the App Store, then things start to slow down quite a bit. You start to notice, this phone is quite darn old here. You can see right here, I'm just waiting and waiting. The iPhone 12 can go into 2 applications before this one could even open up 1, maybe even 3. So definitely not super fast anymore. However, you know what's funny? Even though this phone is not really fast anymore, I will say this phone actually could still do things that you need to do on a phone to this day. I'm not sure many Android phones from 2014 would perform super well at this time. They probably would work okay, but the iPhone 6 actually is pretty functional, and you could still use a lot of the most modern apps. You just have to wait for them to open up here for the iPhone 6. So it's actually still a usable phone, but it's nothing that I would be, super impressed to be recommending to nobody after 7 years. But yeah, I gotta say, for an Apple A8, the main system runs okay. It's just the overall, app openings, gaming, stuff like that. Some of these apps are severely out of date as well, like the Apple TV app. So definitely old, but still, I would say functional for somebody who has patience. Not recommending this phone though, so don't take that the wrong way. When it comes to the memory, or the RAM, we do have 1 gigabyte. So that means if you have multiple applications open, the iPhone 6 is going to reload stuff. Like, it's gonna jank a little bit, and the Apple iPhone does tend to kind of pause things in the background, but they're not really open. But you will start to see some hangs when you do have multiple things open at one time, like right there, a reload. And this will happen even on newer phones, but it'll happen way more frequently on the iPhone 6 at this point. So 7 years later, pretty slow when it comes to going between applications. Got to be real with you on that one. Now, the camera. Let's talk about the camera right there, because it was a single camera, and I actually kind of like these days when we had just one single camera. It was so simple to use the phone. You just popped it open. You knew all you were going to be doing is taking a picture with the phone. And quite frankly, when you have good light, the iPhone 6 actually does take an okay picture. I say okay. I didn't say good. I didn't say great. Don't get me wrong here. And in good lighting, provided good lighting, HD 60 is still acceptable. I think you could actually still take a YouTube video today with this old iPhone 6, and if it was a great piece of content, I don't think anybody would be complaining that, oh, your video quality is horrible or anything like that, as long as you had good audio quality. You can see I'm filming here on the iPhone 12 Pro in 4K 60. Major upgrades to this device at this point, but you can see you have slow motion, time lapse. You got a bunch you can do with this phone, but you're really limited in terms of the overall, video quality. You can only do up to like HD 60. The front is a pretty weak camera as well. So everything is looking a little bit, way out of date now. But go ahead and take a look at some samples I took with the iPhone 6 and let me know what you think of this camera at this point. Okay, so battery life. Now, you're probably saying, how the heck does this guy have 100% capacity? Well, my other iPhone 6, I broke it, and I bought this one, it was on a fire sale way after the fact. I already upgraded my phone, so this one right here, I didn't use much of the time because I already broke my other iPhone 6, and by the time I got my next one, it really was already too late. I was already using something else. I was using 7 Plus at the time. If you have a good capacity, this phone can actually make it through most of the day with regular use. And if Apple would have went to 14, 15 on this one, that would have been insane. It would have destroyed the battery on this phone. It just doesn't have the power to run stuff like that. So definitely the battery, because they stopped at 12, is decent. It will make it through most of the day, but you're going to be charging this thing more regularly than the newer iPhones. They really improved the efficiency and battery life on the newer stuff. Now, talking about 7 years later with the sound, you do have one single speaker here for the iPhone 6, so it's not very good sounding, but you did have the headphone jack to make up for that. You don't even have a dual speaker here. You don't really have water resistance on this phone either, so this one could get damaged by some water as well. Again, not the most durable. Even the Bluetooth is quite dated now. It has 4.0 Bluetooth, so it won't connect nearly as fast as the newer 5 standards. Now, when it comes to the fingerprint scanner, this is one area where Apple really hasn't changed much with the SE. It's pretty similar. It's still very quick. And yeah, that's pretty decent, the fingerprint scanner 7 years later. So overall, the iPhone 6 after 7 years. When I look at this phone, I see a classic vintage iPhone that really was a game changer for iPhone at the time and led to the progression of the iPhone series. And then finally, Apple had to step it up and go to something like the iPhone 10 and then over here to the iPhone 12. So it was a natural evolution of the iPhone series. I will say the price was less. The prices definitely went up since the iPhone 6, which was the main iPhone at the time. But I just wanted to revisit it and give you my overall take on it. This is not a video trying to convince you to buy this phone right now. This was a revisit. Let me know your thoughts on the iPhone 6. Did you hold on? Because if you held on to one of these to this point, you're a trooper for real. Like, I don't know how you could have made it to this point if you did on this iPhone. It hasn't been recommended for a long time, but let me know your experience if you have. Thumbs up if you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.